Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, August 10th, 2020. Today I'm going to go over the weekend's NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and WNBA games and look ahead to today's games. Well, WNBA will go over the week's games because I haven't gone over them in a while. We'll go over how the PGA Championship played out. We'll recap the weekend's NASCAR races, and I'll have my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start with hockey, where the qualifying rounds and the round robins are over, and the official first round, the Stanley Cup playoffs, will begin tomorrow. But we'll obviously go over those games and those series not only on tomorrow's podcast, but tonight I'm going to have on my buddy George Brew, as we're going to go over the gambling series prices in each series, and we're going to provide predictions as well. So we'll start from Friday. Canadians over the Pens 2-0 to win that series. So the Canadians move on to number 3 start the game with didn't have any points, but just was really good. Jeff Petrie, number 2 star with a goal for Montreal. Ettore Lehkonen, and the number 1 star of the game with 22 saves on 22 shots, Carey Price. Isles over the Panthers 5-1 to advance in that series. Number 3 star of the game with 24 saves on 25 shots. The goaltender for the Islanders, Semyon Varlamov. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Matthew Barzal. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Anthony Beauvillier. He's been very good in these playoffs so far, or in this restart, I should say. Coyotes over the Preds 4-3 in overtime on a goal by Brad Richardson to advance to the official Stanley Cup playoffs. He was the number 3 star of the game with that overtime winner. The number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Number 1 star of the game with 49 saves on 46 shots, on 52 shots. Darcy Kemper, who's been unbelievable. Blackhawks over the Oilers 3-2 to advance. Number 3 star of the game with the goal, Dominic Kubalik. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Jonathan Taves. Number 1 star of the game with 43 saves on 45 shots, Corey Crawford. Maple Leafs over the Blue Jackets 4-3 in overtime on a goal by Austin Matthews to extend this to a 5th game. It doesn't say who the number 3 star of the game was, but number 2 with the goal and assist was Zach Hyman, and number 1 star of the game with a goal and 2 assists was obviously Austin Matthews. Canucks over the Wild 5-4 in overtime on a goal by Christopher Tanev, 11 seconds into overtime for the Canucks to advance to the playoffs. Number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Quinn Hughes. Number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Bo Horvat, and the number 1 star of the game with the goal and 2 assists, including the game winner, obviously, Chris Tanev. Saturday, it was just qualifying games. Golden Knights over the Avs 4-3 in overtime on a goal by Alex Tuck for the Knights to get the 1 seed. Colorado drops to 2. Number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, JT Compher. Number 2 star of the game with assist, Mark Stone. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, Jonathan Marchessault. Flyers over the Lightning 4-1 as the Flyers get the 1 seed. Number 3 star of the game with 2 assists, Sean Couturier. Number 2 star of the game with 2 assists, Shane Gothisbeer. Number 1 star of the game with 2 goals, rookie Nicholas Aube-Kubel. As Philadelphia gets the 1 seed and the Lightning are your 2 seed. Sunday, Capitals over the Bruins 2-1. The Capitals get the 3 seed. The Bruins the 4. The number 3 star of the game with the goal, Jake DeBrusk. Number 2 star of the game with the goal, TJ Oshie. Number 1 star of the game with 30 saves on 31 shots, Braden Holtby, who looked like the Braden Holtby of old. Stars over the Blues 2-1 in a shootout. The Stars get the 3 seed in St. Louis, the 4 seed. So the champs playing with a little chip on their shoulder here. The number 3 started the game with 21 saves on 22 shots. Anton Kudalin. The number 2 started the game with a goal, Joe Pavelski. And the number 1 started the game with 37 saves on 39 shots, even in a losing effort, Jake Allen. Blue Jackets over the Maple Leafs 3-0 to win in 5 games to advance to the actual playoffs. The number 3 star of the game with a goal, Liam Foudy. The number 2 star of the game with a goal, Zach Werenski. And the number 1 star of the game with 33 saves on 33 shots, Joonas Korpisalo. So, good for the goalie for Columbus, who got benched for Elvis Merkelins, who I thought they were going to be playing in these playoffs, but Joonas gets some revenge here, and Tortorella made the right call here by going with Joonas Korpisalo over Elvis Merkelins. Alrighty, now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll go over the weekend's results and look ahead to today's games. Most of these playoff spots are clinched, but we still have uncertainty in the West of who gets the 8 because there's going to be a play-in game or play-in games. We'll start Friday. Spurs over the Jazz 119-111. The Spurs 30-38, the Jazz 43-26. Derek White had 24, so did Jordan Clarkson. Grizz over the Thunder 121-92. The Grizz at the time was a big win, 33-37. OKC 42 and 26. Dylan Brooks had 22 and Chris Paul had 17. Nets over the Kings 119-106. The Nets are 33-36. Sacramento 29-40. Karis LeVert had 22. Bojan Bogdanovic had 27. 76ers over the Magic 108-101. The Sixers are 42-27. Orlando is 32-38. Tobias Harris had 23. Evan Fournier had 22. The Pelicans over the Wizards 118-107. The Pels are 30-39. Washington 24-45. Drew Holiday 28. Rui Hachimura 23. Celtics over the Raptors 122-100. Big win for Boston 46-23. Toronto 49-19. Jaylen Brown had 20. Fred VanVleet had 13. Saturday, Clips over the Blazers 122-117. The Clips are 47-22. Portland 32-39. Paul George had 21. CJ McCollum had 29. The Nuggets over the Jazz 134-132 in double overtime. Nikola Jokic had 30 points. Donovan Mitchell had 35 points. That was a great game. Pacers over the Lakers 116-111. The Pacers are 43-27. The Lakers 51-18. TJ Warren had 39. LeBron had 31. Suns over the Heat 119-112. The Suns have been unbelievable in this tournament. 31-39. Miami is 43-27. Devin Booker had 35. Tyler Herro had 25. Mavs over the Bucks 136-132 in overtime. The Mavs were coming up big in this game after failing the closeout games earlier in the restart. Mavs are 42-30. Milwaukee 55-15. Luka Doncic had 36 and Giannis had 34. And now yesterday, 7 games yesterday. Thunder over the Wizards 121-103. The Thunder 43-26. Washington 24-46. Darius Bazley led the OKC in scoring with 23. Jerome Robinson had 19 for Washington. Raptors over the Grizzlies 108-99. The Raps are 50-19. Memphis is 33-38. Leading the Raps in scoring was Pascal Siakam with 26. Dylan Brooks had 25 for Memphis. Spurs over the Pelicans 122-113. San Antonio 31-38. New Orleans 30-40. JJ Redick had 31. DeMar DeRozan had 27. Celtics over the Magic 122-119 in overtime. Boston 47-23. Orlando 32-39. Gordon Hayward had 31. Nikola Vucevic had 26. Blazers over the Sixers 124-121. The Blazers are 33-39. The Sixers are 42-28. Damian Lillard had 51 points. Josh Richardson had 34. Rockets over the Kings 129-112. The Rockets 44-25. Sacramento 29-41. De'Aaron Fox had 26. And Austin Rivers had a career game for the Rockets, had 41. Nets over the Clippers 129-120. The Nets continue to be a surprise team here in the bubble. Brooklyn 34-36. LA 47 and 23. Karis LeVert had 27. Kawhi Leonard had 39. Now we'll look ahead to the games today. There are a total of 5 games today, which is less than you would think. So the first game on the list today is the Thunder against the Suns. That is a super duper fun game. I personally would make the Thunder favored by 6.5 points, and the Suns are 5-point favorites over the Thunder. There must be some injuries with Oklahoma City that I don't know about. Let's look, because the Suns should not be 5-point favorites unless it's like Chris Paul and some others sit. Shea Alexander and Steven Adams. There has to be injuries then if the Suns are to be favored by that many points over the Thunder. So, Thunder injury. But yeah, that is a wacky line. Let me check Twitter real quick and see if they would know. The situation. Because I know Steven Adams missed a game recently. So here we go. Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams. Kelly Oubre, questionable. That's good for Phoenix. Dennis Schroeder, Steven Adams are the only big names that are questionable here. And Steven Adams is worth a point on the spread. I said the Thunder should be favored by 6.5. That brings it down to 5.5. And then Schroeder is not on my spreadsheet. And Oubre's playing. So this is very strange that the Suns are a 5-point favorite. Super duper strange. So it's just Steven Adams who is out for this game. And, he's questionable. So, yeah, give me the Thunder +5. I don't get that line at all. I mean, all due respect to the Suns who have been awesome in this restart, they should not be 5-point favorites over Oklahoma City Thunder. And quite frankly, Oklahoma City, I think, is going to win that game outright. Because Adams is questionable. Like, Roberson's out. Like, it doesn't say anything about a Chris Paul or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander injury. Steven Adams is worth a point to the spread because he's a really good center. But I don't get that one at all. So give me the Thunder +5. I think they're going to win outright. That reminds me a lot of those Nuggets lines from when the Nuggets were without Murray and Barton and the world just overreacted. And next up is the Mavericks against the Jazz. These two teams are very even. I would make this Mavericks by 1/2, if that were to make sense. DraftKings does lines by 1/2, but FanDuel does not. So I'd make this Mavs by 1/2. And it's Utah by 7.5. I mean, is Doncic not playing? Is Porzingis not playing? If that's the case, then the Jazz should be favored here. So Mavericks injury report. No Doncic or Porzingis. Okay, that makes sense. So the Jazz should be favored here. Doncic is worth 5 points. So doing the math in my head, So without Doncic alone, the Jazz should be 4.5. And then Porzingis is worth another 2.5. So that would make Utah a 7-point favorite, and it's 7.5. So it's a half-point difference. So for this game, 224.5 is the total. This is tricky because the line's correct, or close to correct, at 7.5 in favor of Utah without the two All-Stars for Dallas. The total is 224.5. I'm going to say the under. Jazz play good defense. They're not the best offensive team in the world. I know they've had some good offensive games in this bubble, but 224.5 without Porzingis and Doncic. I'm sorry. I'm going to go under. Do I feel good about it? No. But my play for this game is the under. I absolutely hate that pick, but it's the best pick on the board for this game. All right, so Toronto and Milwaukee is next. That game is at 6:40 or 6:30. Dallas, Utah's at 3. So Raptors, Bucks. The Bucks should be 2.5-point favorites. They are 6-point favorites. Let's just see if there's any Raptors injuries. No, there's not, and I love the Raptors getting the 6. That is, I think, the right side. They've been playing great in the bubble, with the exception of the Celtics game. So give me the Raptors plus 6 against the Bucks. I know the Bucks have been awesome in the bubble too at times, and I've been playing the Bucks a lot, but I'm going against the Bucks here and riding with Pascal Siakam in the defending champion Toronto Raptors plus 6 against the Bucks. All right, 8 o'clock, the Pacers against the Heat. This should be a fun game. The Heat should be favored by 4 here, and they're favored by 2.5. So we're going to check on Jimmy Butler's status before we make a pick here. They had him out for some of the other games, obviously. TJ Warren, questionable. So it doesn't say whether Butler's in or out. But if he's out, I said that Butler is worth how many points on the spread? 4? Then that should be a pick'em instead of Miami by 2.5, unless there's Indiana injuries or TJ Warren, who I don't have worth anything. But right now, I have to say he's worth 2 points to the spread with his breakout here in Orlando. And if he's out, it should be Miami by 2. So I'm going to stay away from the spread due to the injuries. I'll go to the total. 220 is the total. I'm going to still go over on that, even without Butler and potentially without TJ Warren. What if Bam Adebayo is a big game against Miles Turner? I could see that happening. And maybe one of them does play. Maybe Warren does play. So I don't feel good about it. I'm going to hold my nose and take the over in the Indiana-Miami game. I don't like any of these picks. I did really good with my picks yesterday. But I don't like any of these picks so far, with the exception of a few. And at 9 o'clock, the Nuggets against the Lakers. The Lakers are favored by 5.5 points. And the Lakers should be favored by 3. I love the Nuggets getting the 5.5 against the Lakers. Lakers will win. I just think the Nuggets cover. the Lakers have not been very good in the bubble, and they have the 1 seed wrapped up, so I have to give them a little bit of a pass. They're not playing for anything, and the Bucks clinched the best record in the NBA, so I'm not blaming the Lakers if they decide to sit anybody, but I'm going to take the Nuggets plus 5.5, and that's with LeBron and Anthony Davis. So I think I'm going to fade the Lakers here, taking the Nuggets plus 5.5. I have a couple of points of value here. I'm going to say the Lakers win, but Denver covers the 5.5 points on the spread. Now I'm going to go over Major League Baseball from the weekend, and we will look ahead to the games today. Interesting weekend in Major League Baseball. The Cardinals didn't play because their COVID situation is still intact, and they're not going to be playing their games against the Pirates this week either. We'll start Friday night. Orioles over the Nats 11-0. Tigers over the Pirates 17-13-11. Rays over the Yanks 1-0. Marlins over the Mets 4-3. Red Sox over the Jays 5-3. Royals over the Twins 3-2. White Sox over the Indians 2-0. Reds over the Brewers 8-3. Rangers over the Angels 4-3. Astros over the Athletics 3-2 in 13 innings. Padres over the D-backs 3-0. Dodgers over the Giants 7-3. And the Rockies over the Mariners 8-4. Saturday, Indians over the White Sox 7-1. Yanks over the Rays 8-4 in 7 innings in doubleheader game 1. Tigers over the Pirates 11-5. Athletics over the Astros 3-1. Rays over the Yankees 5-3 in the second of the 2 doubleheader games. Phils over the Braves 5-0. Orioles over the Nats 5-3. Royals over the Twins 9-6. Rangers over the Angels 2-0. Reds over the Brewers 4-1. Marlins over the Mets 8-4. Blue Jays over the Red Sox 2-1. Giants over the Dodgers 5-4. D-backs over the Padres 3-2. Rockies over the Mariners 5-0. And then yesterday's results. Rays over the Yankees 4-3 on a walk-off single by Michael Perez. Rays are 8-8. Yanks 10-6. Orioles Nationals suspended will resume on August 14th. Game time to be determined. So that's interesting. Braves over the Phillies 5-2 in their first of 2 doubleheaders. Braves 10-6, Phils 4-5. Mets over the Marlins 4-2. The Mets 7-9, the Marlins 7-3. Red Sox over the Blue Jays 5-3. Boston 6-9, Toronto 5-8. Tigers over the Pirates 2-1. Tigers 8-5. Pittsburgh 3-13. Royals over the Twins 4-2. The Royals 7-10. Minnesota 10-6. Brewers over the Reds 9-3 or 9-3. Milwaukee 6-7. Cincinnati 7-9. Rangers over the Angels 3-7. Texas 6-8. LA 5-11. Dodgers over the Giants 6-2. The Dodgers are 11-5. San Fran 7-10. Athletics over the Astros 7-2. Oakland 12-4. They've been great. Houston 6-9. Padres over the Diamondbacks 9-5. San Diego 9-7. Arizona 6-10. Mariners over the Rockies 5-3. Seattle 6-11. Colorado 11-4. Braves over the Phillies 8-0 in the second of 2 doubleheaders. Atlanta 11-6. Philly 4-6. Indians over the White Sox 5-4 in 10 innings on Sunday Night Baseball. Indians 10-7. White Sox 8-8. So White Sox with a heartbreaking loss there. All right. Games for tonight. 6 o'clock Fox Sports 1. The Braves against the Phillies. Sean Newcomb and Aaron Nola. Both pitchers 0-1. Newcomb, 6.57 ERA, whip of 1.46. Nola, 3.97 ERA, whip of 0.79. I'm going to go with the Phillies here to bounce back. They have their ace on the bump in Aaron Nola. Nola pitched well against the Yankees. He should be able to pitch well against the Braves. So give me the Phillies at home to win an important game over their division rivals. 7 o'clock, you have the White Sox and the Tigers. Dallas Keuchel and Michael Fulmer. Keuchel 2-1 with a 2.55 ERA, whip of 0.96. Fulmer, no decisions with a 13.5 ERA, whip of 2.25. Fulmer's being used as an opener this year for Detroit. Nats and the Mets. Patrick Corbin, Steven Matz. Corbin 1-0 with the 3 ERA whip of .92. Matz 0-2 with the 5.65 ERA whip of 1.4. 7:30 Rays Red Sox. Ryan Yarbrough, and we don't know who's going for Boston. Yarbrough 0-2 with a 3.78 ERA whip of 1.14. 8 o'clock Twins Brewers. Randy Dobnak and Adrian Hauser. Dobnak 2-1 with a .6 ERA whip of .87. Hauser 1-0 with the .75 ERA whip of .92. It's a nice pitching matchup there. 8:40 of the Diamondbacks against the Rockies. Robbie Ray and John Gray. Robbie Ray 1-2 with the 9.45 ERA whip of 1.95. John Gray 0-1 with the 3.31 ERA whip of .98. Giants Astros at 9 o'clock on ESPN. We don't know who's going for San Francisco and Houston. Lance McCullers Jr. 1-1 with the 9.22 ERA whip of 1.83. We'll go with the Astros here to bounce back. They had the brawl yesterday. Ramon Laureano threw some punches. He's going to get suspended, most likely. So, give me the Astros at home. They need this game to get right a little bit against the subpar Giants team. Mariners Rangers. Justin Dunn and Kyle Gibson. Dunn 0-1 with a 6.43 ERA whip of 1.57. Gibson 0-1 with a 2.45 ERA whip of 1.27. 9:40 A's Angels. Sean Manaea and Julio Teheran. Manaea 0-2 with an 8.03 ERA whip of 1.46. Teheran 0-1 with a 6.75 ERA whip of 1.5. And Padres Dodgers. That's a big game. Garrett Richards and Dustin May. Richards 0-1 with a 4.6 ERA whip of 1.21. May 1-0 with a 2.63 ERA whip of 1.17. Now we'll look at the WNBA results from the past couple of days and look ahead to the games today. We're going to do it similar. We just did the baseball, just scores, and then the records as of that date. So we'll start from Tuesday, August 4th. Sky over the Wings, 82-79. Sky 4-1, Dallas 2-3. Mercury over the Dream, 81-74. Phoenix 3-2. Atlanta 2-3. Storm over the Sun, 87-74. Seattle 4-1. Yukon or Connecticut 0-5. When I see Con, I think Yukon, but I know it's the Connecticut Sun. Wednesday, Lynx over the Liberty, 92-66. Lynx 4-1, Lib 0-5. Aces over the Mystics, 83-77. Vegas 3-2. Washington's 3-2. Sparks over the Fever, 86-75. Sparks 3-2. Indiana 2-3. Thursday, Storm over the Dream, 93-92. Storm 5-1. Atlanta 2-4. Sun over the Wings, 91-68. Connecticut 1-5. Dallas 2-4. Mercury over the Sky, 96-86. Mercury 4-2. Chicago 4-2. Friday, Liberty over the Mystics, 74-66. Much need to win for the Liberty. They are 1-5. Washington is 3-3. Lynx over the Fever, 87-80. Minnesota 5-1. Indiana 2-4. Aces over the Sparks, 86-82. Vegas 4-2. And LA 3-3. Saturday, Wings over the Dream, 85-75. The Wings 3-4. Atlanta 2-5. Storm over the Mercury, 74-68. Seattle 6-1. Phoenix 4-3. Sky over the Sun, 100-93. Chicago 5-2. Connecticut 1-6. Yesterday, Aces over the Liberty, 78-76. Aces 5-2. Liberty 1-6. Sparks over the Lynx, 97-81. LA 4-3, Minnesota 5-2. Fever over the Mystics 91-84. Fever 3-4, Mystics 3-4. Today's games: 6 o'clock you have the Sun against the Dream. 7 o'clock you have the Mercury and the Wings on ESPN2, and 9 o'clock on ESPN2 you have the Sky and the Storm. In terms of picks, I'm going to go with the Mercury in Game 1. They have the better roster, led by Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi. And Game number 2, I'm going to go with the Seattle Storm, led by Brianna Stewart and Sue Bird. So there you have it for WNBA. Now I'm going to go over the golf from the weekend, the PGA Championship. And your winner, Colin Morikwa, in really fun and dramatic fashion. He comes away with the victory with a score of 13 under. Tied for second with 11 under, my pick of Dustin Johnson, so I came so close, and Paul Casey. Tied for fourth, Scotty Scheffler, Tony Finau, Jason Day, Matthew Wolff, and Bryson DeChambeau, 10 under. Ninth place, Justin Rose, 9 under. 10th place, Xander Schauffele, Cameron Champ, and John Dahman, all with 8 under. Joel Dahman. Tied for 13th with 7 under, John Rahm, Patrick Reed, Daniel Berger, and Kim Siwoo with 7 under. Tied for 17th, Brendan Todd and Lee Ha-tong, 6 under. Tied for 19th with 5 under, Harry English, Kevin Kisner, and Lanto Griffin. Tied for 22nd with 4 under, Ian Poulter, Adam Scott, Hideki Matsuyama, Brendan Steele, Alex Thoren, Bang Honan, and Victor Perez. Tied for 29th with 3 under, Doc Redmond, Tommy Fleetwood, Harold Varner, and Brooks Koepka. Tied for 33rd with 2 under, Victor Hovland, Louis Oltzian, and Rory McIlroy. Oh, and Dylan Fratelli, too. 1 under, tied for 37th. You have Webb Simpson, Justin Thomas, Tiger Woods. So Tiger wasn't that bad. Also, Nate Leslie, Russell Henley, and Bud Cauley. Breaking even, tied for 43rd. You had Patrick Cantlay, Ryan Palmer, Bernd Weisberger, Abraham Ancer, Keith Mitchell, Mike Lorenzo Vera, Billy Horschel, and Cameron Smith. We're just going to do notables the rest of the way. Max Hubbard in the tie for 51st with 1 over, as well as Luke List. Gary Woodland finished 2 over in the tie for 58th, as well as Mackenzie Hughes and Adam Hadwin. Tied for 66 with 3 over, among notables, Shane Lowry, Jordan Spieth, Danny Lee, Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, all in the 4-way tie with 4 over in 71st place. Ches Ravine, JT Potson, 6 over in 75th place in that tie. Wrigley Fowler was cut. Justin Korkrak was cut. Matt Fitzpatrick, C.T. Pond was cut. Tyler Duncan was cut. Sergio Garcia cut. Any other notables cut? No. Oh, Zach Johnson. That's it. Or it was the other Zach Johnson. Now I'm going to go over the NASCAR races from the weekend. We'll start with the Truck Series race from Michigan, and your winner in that race was Zane Smith. So Zane Smith comes out on top. The rest of the results, Christian X, Tanner Gray, Tyler Ankrum, Todd Gilliland, Brett Moffitt, Raphael Lesser, Derek Kraus, Parker Kegelman, David Gravel, Ben Rhodes. My pick of Austin Hill came in 12th. Tate Fogelman, Dawson Cram, Ty Majeski, Johnny Sauter, Josh Rumi, Cody Rohrbach, Ryan Truex, Clay Greenfield, Tyler Hill, Jesse Iwuji, Matt Kraft, and Corey Rauper, John Hunter Nemechek, Tim Veen, Spencer Boyd, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Trey Hutchins III, Sheldon Creed, Norm Benning, Jordan Anderson, Grant Effinger, Ray Cicerelli, Brendan Poole, Jeb Burton, Austin Wayne Self, Chandler Smith, and Stuart Friesen. And now results for the Xfinity race from Saturday afternoon. And your winner in that race was Austin Cindric. And then the rest of the results: AJ Allmendinger, Chase Briscoe, Kaz Gralla, Andy Lally, Noah Gragson, Ross Chaston, Preston Padras, Ryan Sieg, Michael Annette, Justin Haley, Brandon Brown, Josh Williams, Brandon Jones, Alex Lave, Harrison Burton, Josh Balicki, Tommy Joe Martins, Jade Buford, R.C. Anderson, Kyle Weatherman, Stephen Licht, Riley Herbst, Mike Wallace, Joe Graff Jr., Jesse Wuji, Cody Vanderwall, Jesse Little, Jeremy Clements, Justin Allager, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Matt Snyder, Scott Heckert, Vinnie Miller, Daniel Hermick, Chad Fincham, Bailey Curry as your results from that race. And now the Cup Series race from Saturday afternoon. Your winner, Kevin Harvick. The rest of the results: Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace, Kurt Busch, Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, Chris Bell, William Byron, Matt DiBenedetto, Eric Almirola, Matt Kenseth, Tyler Reddick, Clint Boyer, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman, Corey LaJoie, Ty Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Preece, J.J. Yealy, Quinn Houff, Ryan Newman, Michael McDowell, Reed Sorensen, Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Timmy Hill, Cole Custer, Garrett Smithley, John Hunter Nemechek, Brendan Poole, James Davison, and Joey Gase. And now the Cup results from yesterday from Michigan. And your winner from yesterday's race, Kevin Harvick. Again. The rest of the results: Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Eric Almirola, Matt DiBenedetto, Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, William Byron, Ryan Newman, Clint Boyer, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Preece, Chris Bell, Ty Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Corey LaJoie, John Hunter Nemechek, Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, J.J. Yealy, Brendan Poole, Reed Sorensen, Quinn Houff, Josh Billick, Garrett Smithley, Timmy Hill, Alec Bowman, James Davison, Ryan Blaney, and Brad Keselowski in a dismal 39th. Alrighty. Tonight is a very big day in the National Hockey League world because it is the draft lottery. Well, I should say the second draft lottery as we find out who wins the Alexi Lafreniere Sweepstakes or Lafreniere. It's the teams that lost in the qualifying round because they did the lottery earlier, and it was determined that one of those teams won the lottery, and we'll figure out the winner tonight. So in the East, you have the Rangers, you have the Panthers, you have the Penguins, and you have the Maple Leafs. In the West, you have the Minnesota Wild, you have the Nashville Predators, you have the Edmonton Oilers, and you have the... Who am I missing out in the West? Nashville, Minnesota, Edmonton, and... the Winnipeg Jets. I am going to give a prediction right now on who I think will win the lottery and how the rest of the lottery will play out. It's obviously the tonight is the night. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. So I think the 15th pick will be the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think Edmonton will be 14. Toronto 13. Florida 12. The Rangers 11. Winnipeg 10th. Minnesota ninth. I think the Nashville Predators get the top pick. It's just a gut feeling. They can use somebody like Alexis Lafreniere, Lafreniere, because they really don't have that much offensive firepower. He would extend their championship window, I would think. He would be really fun to watch with Philip Forsberg. So I hope I'm right about this, actually. In terms of a team that I think has some good karma, a team that really hasn't had much luck of late. And I'm going to say that Nashville wins them. And then in terms of where if he lands with some other teams, and this guy is supposedly going to be really, really good. I wouldn't say he's the NHL's version of Zion, because that I think was a little bit crazy. Many people think he's better than the two guys that were picked 1 and 2 last year, and Jack Hughes and Capo Caco. Quite frankly, we probably overhyped them guys, those two from last year, but those guys might improve, so you never know. I don't think he's as good as Connor McDavid. Maybe his ceiling, I think Austin Matthews, I think could be his ceiling. If that's and I think that's good. I think Austin Matthews' ceiling is very good for this kid. So that's what I'm going to say the ceiling is for Alexei Lafreniere. So if Pittsburgh gets him, obviously he's going to be playing with Crosby and Malkin and Jake Gensel. So that makes their team even more loaded. That puts them back in the Stanley Cup conversation, quite frankly. Edmonton. There's a lot of talk that they'll probably trade the pick. Or that's the most likely candidate to do so. Because they need defense, and they have enough offense with McDavid and Draisaitl. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, too. So maybe they trade that pick to a team that has a plethora of defensemen, and that team ends up getting the number 1 overall pick. Or let's say they trade it to the Ducks for Hampus Lindholm. I think that'd be a great trade for both sides. I don't think they should trade it to Buffalo for Rasmus Dahlin, because I think that I don't think Buffalo, or I don't know if Buffalo would do that trade. I don't know if Edmonton would do that trade. New Jersey for PK Subban, I think, would be a robbery like no other for the Devils. Ottawa doesn't have anybody good on defense. If Ottawa didn't make that Erik Karlsson trade, then they would have had the 3rd pick. But maybe would they do it for Erik Karlsson? Get Erik Karlsson's contract off the books? If you're Edmonton? James Neal and the number 1 pick for Karlsson, and maybe like a 3rd. That would be quite interesting if San Jose did that, or that same trade, except put Brent Burns in that spot. And then the Kings, do they trade Drew Doughty for that pick? That would be interesting too. So I think Edmonton has options, and I just said a bunch of defensemen that I think could the number 1 overall pick and fetch him for. And those defensemen, I don't think Buffalo would trade Dahlin, because I think they know he's going to be a star, and I think they want to win now. Anaheim should be rebuilding. I think Hampus Lindholm, I think, is the perfect target. Maybe Brent Burns or Erik Karlsson and Drew Doughty would be good trade targets for the Oilers if they were to trade the pick. And the same could be said about the Maple Leafs. I think those are the same 4 guys I'd trade that pick for if you're the Maple Leafs, because you need help on defense too. I don't think Florida, Nashville, Rangers, Winnipeg, or Minnesota should trade that pick, but maybe Pittsburgh, I think, potentially could, because I know they would go for it as long as Sidney Crosby's there. But at the same time, I think that Lafreniere they would look at him as the future guy. So I think the most likely candidates to trade the pick, if they get it, are Edmonton and Toronto. And then Florida, if they got him, would be a good fit because they need like a top scoring guy to go with Jonathan Huberdeau after trading away a key guy in who they trade away that the Panthers trade. That was a big deal, and everybody went nuts over the trade. Sasha Barkov is still with the Panthers too. But didn't the Panthers trade somebody last year to Carolina? Maybe Lafreniere could replace that production. It was somebody good too. Who was it? Vincent Trocheck is who they traded away last year. So that'd be a good replacement for him. Long term. Nashville, I made the case for him that he'd be a good fit with Philip Forsberg, because that's who I think wins it. Just a blind guess by me. The New York Rangers, I think he'd be a great addition to their core. Imagine him playing on the same line as Artemi Panarin and Chris Kreider. That would be insane. But Mika Zibanejad centers that line, or should be centering those players, and then maybe they play him with Capo Caco, and that would help his development. Winnipeg, maybe like a super dark horse candidate to trade that pick. They're a team that is very thin on defense, or maybe they go into a full rebuild mode and build around Lafreniere if they get him. And then Minnesota, you're going to be hearing people say that if Minnesota wins, it's rigged because of the George Floyd situation. But maybe. I don't really buy that. I think if it's rigged, it's a New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs, and you could tuck me into Edmonton and Pittsburgh because of their respective stars, and Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. So, but yeah, original six, or Edmonton or Pittsburgh, I think it's rigged. I'm not buying the idea that it might be rigged for Minnesota because of George Floyd, but we'll see. It'd be nice if the Wild got it, because the Wild can use somebody like Alexis Lafreniere. It'd be really big for that team going forward. And he would be like their guy to build around. They have some veterans there. Mikko Koivu, who's been there forever. Matu Zuccarello. Eric Stahl. So they have some guys there. Joel Eriksson Ek, who scored a couple of goals in the playoffs before they got eliminated by Vancouver. So there's some good possibilities and fascination dream scenarios for Lafreniere, but we'll see how it plays out tonight, and we'll talk about it tonight with George Brew on tonight's show. And now my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. I gave it away earlier in the show because I was outraged by the line, and that is indeed the Oklahoma City Thunder getting the points against the Sun. So I think they're going to win that game outright. I think they're really, really good, the Thunder. So give me the Oklahoma City Thunder +5. Good value, -106 too, against the Phoenix Suns as the Suns train dies a little bit. There's no news about major injuries, so that's crazy that the Suns are that big of a favorite. So give me Oklahoma City +5 against the Suns. This reminds me of when the Nuggets were that big of an underdog against the Thunder not that long ago. And then I was indeed right, as the Nuggets wound up winning the game outright. So that's it for today. I'll be back doing a show with George Brew tonight, doing first round of the Stanley Cup playoff odds, as well as recapping the Alexis Lafreniere lottery. And we'll be doing futures and other sports as well. And then on tomorrow's show, we'll recap the NBA, Major League Baseball, WNBA. We'll go over the lottery again. And also any other news related to Cardinals COVID or anything else that comes out in sports, I'll have for you as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.